So then they tracked him down in India. And they tracked him down in India. They said, oh, in the rafters of my meditation house back at the monastery. So you should know the history.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it seems to be a little bit small. I will bring that wider one.
We're gonna get closer. I'm gonna be teacher's pet, front row. I'll be up by Anthony.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, we need our prayers.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well,
We are live.
what?
We are live.
We're
Being recorded.
great. Thank you for being such a great teacher and an inspiration for me in my life. No, I'm serious. If I'm gonna say something recorded, I'm gonna say the truth. No BS.
That's good. Yes, that's good. Absolutely.
So I have a question that we had an argument, okay? Can I ask now so you think about it? Okay. So
Shouldn't we do our prayer?
this might be, oh, sure. I don't care. No. This question has been bugging me for 2 weeks and I forgot last week. So after the prayers, let me ask you this thing. Okay? I thought it was very astute from a Christian point of view.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're most welcome.
Chant master, where are we?
Page 2, Art Sutra Game. Thus I have heard, at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Vulture Peak Mountain, with a great gathering of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the 5 skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should the son of a lineage train who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Venerable Shariputra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The 5 skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness. They have characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomena. There is no quality of sight and so on until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so on up to no old age and death and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teyata om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the bodhisattva mahasattva noble Avalokiteshvara that he had spoken well. Well done, O son of the lineage, it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Sharipati Putra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. Say then, short mandala offering on page 16. Saji Puti Jetsum Refuge prayer from page 22. Sanje Chadam
What question? Let me go get this book. I wrote it out partially, so then I don't forget it if I'm gonna take it.
template did not relocate. The weapon is a matters, tall matters.
아무도 상대 주로 요한도 바이 세니지를 무효시 가지고 싶은 것을 많이 봐요. 얘네들 로세 때리면서 상대님 마시잖아. 주로 요한도 바이 세니지를 무효시 네, 그렇지. 단디 그래도 주로 요한도 바이 세야되다 좀 센트럴 봐. 뭐야돼? 내 까불에 해야 돼. 무슨 루비카레드니 세네고 그런가 또 죄송으로 왔던 한식 센트럴 요한테 안에 너가지 그래서 세네 제리 뭐지? 라미 세네 아니 신내니 뭐요시 하나 지방에 땡엔들이 뭐요와 아니 소소 문제다가 세네 배 시대 바페지 tornedo와 제거해서 또 트레너를 시켜.
We on that that's one moment. So on the verse 9 of the second last two lines of the verse 9. When external movements stop, the mind doesn't move away from resting. So this talks about how to practice, calm abiding or shamatha, where you're actually engaging in the practice of applying the antidotes towards mental agitation and mental dullness, and not letting one's mind move away from one's practice of meditation.
근데 센츄럴 요한도 봤다. 센 시월이 뭐였지야데 소 젠더버 근데 젠바다 시진 어디서 달래 그렇죠. 젠바다 시진이 야마주 요한이나 안 되게 센츄럴 요한도 봐. 당 센슈리 뭐였지 그래서
So to do that, one should engage in the practice, what we call application of mindfulness and application of introspection.
대고는 대가 리반도 소샤 강기체 젠바다 시지다 대시 철도 요한 노바를 줘봐 대체 대원들 줘왜 뭐바지라 답에 제사도 되면 뜻도 내가 하세요. 다도 뭐도 신앙 보면 그러네 젠바다 시지 젠비기 무대야고 소야다 시지기 되는 젠비기 무대야고 송도도 야야 잘하지니 안다 제시인이 개도하다 지에 안에 정화다 그거가 빠져 반도가 제니 안에 소소 무대 가래 센트로 요와도 반도하니 안에 센무대 가래 시가지는 내도야지 요하다 대르비 권에 권도 빼니 니신의 친이 된 거지 요한주로 대인도 철로 요한도 받은 센이 실은 뭐야 제발라 아니 무슨 더 진시인이야 안 배서진 장고도 기침을해도
So it's just the external moment. How do we, stop our external moment? In other words, distraction and mental dullness. External moment of distraction and mental dullness is by application of these two antidotes. Right, Christian, okay?
My hearing is not so good.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So.
이게 지고자
검열 때 한다면
그러니지
Okay. So to maintain one's mind, again, I think 계속 준비해.
그래도
근데 이제 내가 계속 준비해가 전부 다 영을 계속 준비해. 그게 너무 많아. Um, Here, then how do we, stop the external movement? In other words, as the verse says, when the external movement stops, the mind does not move away from resting. It actually emphasizes on how do we actually practice our karma writing or the practice of shamatha, which can the actual practice of shamatha, which is free from mental agitation and mental dullness. Because as we all know, those two, mental dullness and agitations, are the impediment for our practice of shamatha or karma abiding. So therefore, to counter these two obstacles, application of mindfulness and application of introspection is very important. So if one is able to apply actual or authentic application of antidotes towards those two obstacles, agitation, mental agitation, and dullness, and able to counteract them by the application of those two antidotes, mindfulness and mental introspection, then one will be able to rest one's mind on the peace. In other words, able to maintain one's serenity or one's practice of shamatha or karma abiding. Otherwise, if we put in effort just by being aware of antidotes, how do we apply what kind of the antidote is that is required to perfect one's practice of shamatha or karma abiding? And irrespective of how much practice that we may do, or how long that you may have done this practice, you may not be able to gain insight into the practice of shamatha. So therefore, once be awareness, first be aware of the impediment of this practice of shamatha, and by identifying those obstacles, one then try to apply antidotes towards that, which will counter those two obstacles and attain shamatha.
Yeah, that would be
Maybe we should do it not in a class,
That's the question.
Well, it was, so in Christianity, you don't have if I go too far, just,
Just ask, please.
So in Christianity, you don't have reincarnation. You just have one spirit, okay? And in Buddhism, there's like a continuation, let's say, of energy, okay? So we were talking about how if everybody is the same, which according to Buddhism, people's energy, their life force is the same. No matter if they're reincarnated or an ant, or all life is valuable, okay? Okay. So he was wondering, and it got me wondering, so reincarnation is the belief that that energy does not dissipate. It's kind of like, we get to use the energy, the universal energy of it. And then when that energy goes back into the general, if you're a high practitioner, a Rinpoche or reincarnate, maybe your energy when you die gets to hang together, okay? And that's why they come back as one person, as a reincarnate, okay? Whereas like myself, when I die, it's kind of a roll the dice thing. If I come back as one person or five people, the energy, you know what I'm saying? According to Buddhism, if you have reincarnation, when I die, that means that energy will have to go somewhere, correct?
You will be taking a rebirth. in
Right,
different form.
But is the rebirth, will the next rebirth be like, well, might be 10% of this person and 10% of that?
For one person,
Yeah.
one person will have multiple incarnation in it.
No, does when you die, does that energy get mixed up, or do you own that energy?
So your next incarnation from you in part from someone else, is that what you're asking?
Well, what he was saying was, okay, so exactly what you're saying. So we're all reincarnated time after time after time in the same body.
That's right.
Okay.
Not the same body.
No, but in the same, in here.
Same.
Okay, correct? Okay, so then what he was saying, and this is just, I couldn't answer it. I mean, he's a really, he's up here, very smart Christian. He says, well, then where we go to heaven, we believe we go to heaven.
Mhm.
They believe that you just go to heaven, but you get kicked back here. Like this is the, you get reincarnated back here. So maybe Christianity and Buddhism, he said, are very similar. We just, one thinks heaven is some place that you go far away and live, right? Because it's a spirit, your spirit body in Christianity. You go to heaven as an angel, or I'm not a very good Christian. So you go to heaven, okay? And you live out your life as that one person.
But in Christianity, do you believe that you will be kicked back from the heaven and again
No.
take it? No, right? Once
What?
you get to the heaven, you're eternal.
Yeah. That's what Christianity believes.
That's okay.
But maybe and then he got into Buddhism was 200 years before Christianity.
500,
600, yeah.
600 years, okay.
The BC, yeah.
Yeah, and then he got into historical Jesus after searched India. So he had a Buddhist influence, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
No, this is, if you look at the,
But what's the question?
so the question is the interpretation of our after death, is Buddhism one version of, everybody has the same version, we just have a different idea, but does Buddhism agree with Christianity that everybody that dies is an individual entity forever? Whether you get reincarnated, go to heaven, go to hell. You see what?
Can you have a
Just,
question?
What? You see the question?
Yeah.
same entity, even
What?
same entity, is it?
No, as a person who dies, who gets reincarnated, the same entity, the same as the Christians say. Christians say that same entity goes to heaven, and he says that this person claims that, but Buddhists claim that same entity gets reborn in another body. But is this the same as what the Christians say?
The Christians say they just live in heaven in that body. So their karma, this is where he says in Buddhism, your karma makes you have a good rebirth, where in Christianity, your actions, karma actions, your actions either send you to heaven or hell. So you either have a good end of a good end of death, or you know what I'm saying? But it seemed, after I looked at it, it looked really.
Yeah, so he's asking, is that the same thing as what the Christians are talking about?
Yeah.
A single entity, it's just that it doesn't go to heaven, that single entity
Thanks.
is reborn.
Thanks, Ken. Yes.
The issue and the issue again, the public say, Shiva Yom Nagi Jay Peti, Kewachi Kundechira, once killing Gomaba, Kewachi Lensa Vichalia, Yaman Queen Yamanako Tabas in the Dakanda San Yakin of Takanda issue or Shinkamia, the Nini Dangas, the social and the Tsui Nevalia. So they no way to each other running was the Yavchevania, the Manchester, the 남배 제베나 지 동사베 제야 아니야 지 수본디랑 같이 좀 같아 이내도 그 남지 세그멘트 더 겨울치만 겨울 나야 누구지 디규인지 겨울치마다 담을 문안 계기로 봤어 미정배네 미계획 미나게 겨울에 고기가 나왔어 이제 생계 소셜 지부장 받아서 보다 이제 나가서 겨울었어 계속 디케를 다니 나배 지 소셜 자산이야 지금 자신이야 제가 지금 나이없이 세야 돼 소디 전에 제대로가 스콘데 쓰도록 지금 다 코인이 바라리아 투모 하나 다르지 투모이다 지금 간다 준비 차선에도 간다 이슈가 나베니 뭐 준비 차에 가려를 시험에는 그런서는 나베 개원 것이 균이 줘야 다고 당연히 남게 세로가 그래도 누구지도 개원하면 치마야 돼 치마냐 치매치마라 누구처럼 왔어 이 누구들 고 누구지 그래서 때 내가 누구한테 비춰보랬어 나는 개원하면 치매 누구 저기도 남시셔 봐 나는 이슈 제변에 뒤치가 찍스 그랬고 거기 나는 지금 감리에 대외 거기 그 미소나 예를 누구시로 봐 누구들다 야 헤렌스로 근데야 그들이 신감을 계약 대지 계대비 누구시로 어떤 겨울 din이야 겨울 지금 감리야 간다 사유를 표現누구시로 봤다 완전히 남기서 혼자 누구세요 봐 누구시로 된 누구들이 직차고 그랬어 나왜 이슈 디직스 모습 와. 디니 타니 말을 타데 말을 수고 지가. 따고라 경를 쓰고요. 다들 그 교원에 이제 간다고 직 이것이 나베 경험만 심하면 치면을 네버디데 경험만 심이기 네버디인데 타데 쓰고 야면의 직 쓰고 그랬어요. 근데 제가 또 마제 혼 삼자를 했는데 주님들을 계획했어요.
담보 유효거든요 야보지 시금이라 야보 미시시스 달린데잖아 야보 요말에 대체지 당행에 리시든 나비도는 쉬어야지
Well, I do not have knowledge of Christianity, but my answer to this question will be based on what I have learned according to Buddha Dharma.
Yes.
나는 나비도는 만드시 쉬운데 저런서 유시든 바로를 좀 작가는 비작가는 저런서 다시
So you are well aware and know about Christianity. So you're also studying Buddhism, and then you are the one who should look at it and what are the common belief system or not uncommon belief system between the two will be very good.
다 담보데 나비게 추나니 세제 담제래야 나냥다고에 땅 따디야가 루스데 조아 카르톤이 용거랬나 다시 잡아든 것도 장초 세종을 막을 시고요래 장초 세종을 마시비 거야 나연냠제도 하네 장초 세 랑줄 지야 되겠지 주주 명한 두명 돈에 장초 랑줄 지다지 야 나연냠제도 주주 명한 두 빼만 돈에 장초 랑줄 지다지 내가 손에 거야 주주 명한 두미시비 거야 마시 트트트의 용장바 시험을 제가 대외 마시에서 세제단이라는 많이 봐 시부야다 아니 많이 봐 시제가 그런데 트트트는 거다 트트트는 거 도스 시험도 세제단이라는 많지만 거 주장이 비자니 안 세제단이라는 내다야 그 주지 송고열에서
So in Buddhism, we are taught that every life has a value, not only human life, entire beings or the sentient beings, what we call. And the reason for that is, again, it is related to the practice of bodhicitta, in other words, practice of bodhicitta. When it comes to the practice of bodhicitta, we talked about the two there are two primary practices of bodhicitta. One is exchanging self with others, another is instructions on, six causes and one result, that is called. And and then there's another practice, what we call this combination of the two instructions are combined in the practice. So when it comes to the first practice following the six causes and one result, when someone who is engaging in such practice must accept and appreciate law of cause and effect and life after death, without which the first instruction of the practice of six causes and one result will make no sense. Because right from the beginning of this practice, there's involvement of recognizing all sentient beings as one mother. Because we cannot accept all sentient beings as the mother of this life. So therefore, ultimately, we are asking a question of past life and then the life that will be in the future. So we are talking about the past life. We're not talking about just one past life, which is infinite past life. It is beginningless past life. So when it comes to the beginningless past life, then just as we have a parents of this present life, we do have had parents of the past life, which is infinite, beginningless. So therefore, importance of recognition of all beings as one's own mother is based on the life form that we may have taken in the past. So here now, it is good for you to compare there are some similarities, the practice of similarity and the dissimilar practices of the Christianity, between Christianity and Buddhism, as you are familiar with both the teachings. As for myself, I am familiar only with the teachings of the Buddha Dharma, and I may not be a right person to compare this to.
다 남비촌은 마시세데 세제탄이 단다랑이 마이세 대시에 그자 말해라 시에게 말 세제탄이 랑이 마체 누마시바데 그래 마시게서 단다 말들에 아마치마도 요만와 얘네다 세제탄이 랑이 마체 많이 마치게 매가 있어서 세제탄이 랑이 마체 누마시바스 네.
So when speaking about all sentient beings, once again here, we're not talking about all sentient beings as one's own mother. That doesn't mean that all sentient beings are mother of this life. That doesn't make sense, right? We're talking about there had not been anyone who hasn't been one's mother in the past life. Now, infinite or past life. We're talking about past life, the beginningless past life.
세제탄이 랑이 마체 누마 간데 스나 지와라더니 다음에 봐. 다저다 남이 주는 전에 제시하고 그래. 맞지 공지 죄제 죄제스네. 시험을 나는 용라지는 나가지도 공지다 용라는 싫어 와. 아, 참이 키는데 저서 다 랑 지와를 다음에 봐. 이바다. 아는 맞지도 공지라서 제리 신도 소다 아마질 때는 제고 그러마도 단다 저 공지다 맞지도 아만 마대미 아만 마대미 맞지도 공지지 요마로. 저는 내일도 제리 신도 아마질 때는 제고 그래. 아마대양 아니 가리 나면 줄이 제가 말어. 저서 단대 챈데가 아마들 조심해야 된 챈데 아마들 제가 말어. 소다 아마들 풍로로 와요. 저서 지레신도 아마질 때는 제고 아마대야 가리 나면 지라는 맞지는 nda면 뭐를 맞지. 근데 이들랑 지와를 다음에 봤다. 지레신도 아마질 때는 제고 해도 되는데 저제가 때니 애는 만들 지는 걸 들지는 거 말해서야 딩이 아마 지는 거 말해서야게 아니 하디야지 게 매르다 나비션 시작하잖아.
So therefore, there's not even one single being that has not been one's own mother in the past. Based on the innumerable the life form that we may have taken in the past. And we don't know, it is countless times that we have taken the rebirth. And it is called beginningless time that we have been taking rebirth within this samsaric existence. Although when it comes to taking rebirth in Buddhism, we have 4 different categories of taking rebirth in the form of rebirth that we take. And one is the rebirth taken from the mother's womb, which we are all familiar with. Another rebirth is, the rebirth from the eggs. And another rebirth is the rebirth that is beings are actually born as a combination of heat and moistures. A lot of insects that doesn't require any parents, and they just naturally occur their life because of a combination of heat and moistures. And there's also another rebirth, what we call the miracle rebirths. So those are the 4 forms of the rebirths. But the first 2 forms of the rebirths are very familiar with all of us. And so long as we have taken the rebirth from the mother's womb or eggs, so we have at least a mother. Not both the parents, but we'll at least there's an involvement of father and mother to take a rebirth. So therefore, the rebirth that we have taken are infinite, and it is beginningless. So we have relied on our parents, mother and father from the beginningless time up until now. So it is for this reason, Buddhists, especially Buddhists and Buddhism in general, and particularly the Buddhism in Mahayana Buddhism in particular, believes strongly or firmly, and there's not even one single being who has not been one's own mother in the past. Sorry.
다저상 시제단지랑이 맞제노 하는 말씀에 마모보제노마 베르르 상마이바 말레나 모보제노마.
Not only that they have been one's mother in the past, but many times, repeatedly, have been one's own mother in the past.
다다서는 말씀에 마제리신도 단대 챈데 아미나시게 소소를 장로드나 이 제가 봤다마.
Just as one's own parents, the present mothers who has been kind to oneself, and similarly, all of those beings who have been one's mother have been kind to oneself.
제가 내 인도라니기 시제단지래야 제 까지 친구 마이 트레데 란이 까지 친구 이마 까지대 상만을 처리면 상하게 란이야 제 마다 부자 제비 주링나야 단다기 소서 제 바라다 말하다 부자 계산을 지어나야 상미 거래 그것도 뒤들에 근데 제가 진짜는 되니 안에 세제 담제래 란이 제 내림에 봐 되는지 돈이 상만이야 제 다동 상보지 제보에 받은 남비션이 지는 장주 생존을 받거래 시타바지 소용 거래
So it is for this reason we be mindful of their kindness, just as our parents of this life have been kind to oneself, so too all other beings who have been one's mother have been kind to oneself. So therefore, one should remember their kindness and think of repaying their kindness is the core instruction of the practice of bodhicitta.
자, 대유도 단 남비션이 시간이 단 남비션이 제가 기록하나 세제 담지 대원들 동문도 이미 준비할 때는 세제 단절이야 다동 찬양을 지기 양주지 지려래
So there another way of practicing, which is exchanging self with others and equalizing one with others. It's just the practice that begins with by understanding, just as we ourselves long to achieve happiness and overcome sufferings, so too all other sentient beings have a similar wish to achieve happiness and overcome sufferings. It is for on this basis one should, look at other beings, or one should not engage in the actions that are harmful to others.
세제 담지 제랑 남지게 대원들 동문도 이마 대원들 대유 주주마시 동문도 동문 주파마시 된다기 준비할 때니 참말이야 니지 제니 대용한 참말이야 양 상조던 다단 지금 좀 도스무여래
It is by recognizing how all beings are, long to achieve happiness and overcome suffering. And by this understanding will then enables us to engage in the practice of compassion.
자, 남이셔는 세제 담절이야. 제 다른 상보 제외하게 준비도 되시는 지
So this is why the teachings of Buddha Dharma, in the teachings of the Buddha Dharma, where it emphasizes on the practice of non-violence way of life.
다저 도스 주는 중인데 주리가 다들 사주로 다돼서 그래. 다 남이셔는 지원이 지워주는 중인데 다생들이 다생들이 다생의 다예데 신도들 롱당 생생들이 또 다지와 나만 있는 건데 지금 중인데 신도들 롱당 생이데 가고요래. 로인이 관여래. 이네 들어야 된대 루신도 들어도 생이더라. 아니 다스네 가자 다자고요. 제가 대니 루비 준세기 들은 답에 다네 저나만 되는데 지금 로스네 어떤 로인이 되는 거.
So now coming to the question of the entity that take rebirth. It's now in Buddhism, we have particularly in accordance with the teachings of the Vajrayana, where he talks about the subtlemost energy, or the wind and the mind, are the entity that take rebirth from one life to another.
또 된대 신도들 롱당 생세 나샤테 남비숑이잖아. 아니 상아도지 TV 거래시고 되는 말레면 거 조시고 말레면 조르네 그 조시고 저들이야 소소 장도에 있는 말레면 게 에너지를 조르야 나시죠.는 근데 신도들 롱 생세한테 여보라 주도를 봐요.
So this entity, this teachings of taking rebirth, teachings on subtle wind and the mind that transcend from one life to another, the detailed teachings can be found in the Vajrayana, particularly in the Anuttara Yoga Tantra practice, teachings of Anuttara Yoga Tantra. And when it comes to the teachings of Anuttara Yoga Tantra, there are two main stages of the practice teachings: the teachings of generation stage and teachings of the completion stage. So this teachings on the subtle wind and the mind teachings, the detailed teachings, is found in the teachings of the completion stage.
다 된데 저 마마네 치마도 준종이 기대 들은 세인데 늦제래 뭐보래 마다바나제래 기지기지 좋아하는 거래 이제 그런 거 준데 멘트니 마마한테 되는 치마도 준데 발마쳐 거래.
So this subtle mind and the wind are what we call the impermanent phenomena. It has a momentariness, it's not eternal. It changes momentarily, but continuity of its it continues from one moment to another. That doesn't mean there's no changes occur. But the change will always occur because it is not an eternal phenomena. It is an impermanent phenomena.
제가 센데 준번하시 류는 브라칸하시 해서 준번데 거도선 브라칸 지고 가서 갈 거라지니 발마좀 로거 브라칸데 내가 지고 지는 로거 되나시 해서 센데 에는 준번하시 해서 류는 브라칸하시 해서 브라칸데 해진 로거 준번데 주마지고 로거 그마다가 미 기지 주한 로거 준 방마지고 로거.
So the subtle mind and the subtle wind is said to be like a guest, and the body is the guest house. So the subtle mind and wind are abiding within the guest house. But at one point, just as a guest will just visit one guest house and stay there for whatever the time that they desire to stay, and they will leave that body. Similarly, when our lifespan is exhausted, and this subtle mind and wind will leave this body, which is like a guest house, and then finding another guest house.
제가 기지 좋아하는 주제 가르나 가방이 많아서 다리가 많아 이제 살아 소다 제도기 나데 다다 요마는 좋아하는 기본 진득이 좀 봐줘 살아 다리 쇼게 많아서 나 쇼게도 요 되고 쇼게 나데 좋아하는 살아 다다 기지기 주는 거 같아 대 가나고 기지만 주제 비지 기지기 주의랑 이 비잖아 다 주는 요도 가나 나 총두가 나 가서 지지지 나 대리지 저기 지지 타마는 나나 내가 그러고 준데 봐마지고 용거는 가서 미리 대리 저기 내내 타마 나잔데 그 준도 봐마지고 용거는 타마는 나이 된대 도스래.
So it's the continuity of our life. We are, in other words, we're having a life, one life, another, one life after another life. That doesn't mean that, as you have mentioned earlier, the entity, or in Buddhism we talk about the wind and the mind are eternal. There's no change. It's something that is one. It's some kind of eternal or the solitary. This is not what we agree with on that. Rather, it keeps changing from one moment to another. For instance, think about yourself in the morning. The morning person, that who you are, is not the evening person. I or the self. That's a different. This two person is a completely different, because we have a way of looking at that, the morning person, and then we think about the morning person, that person who are doing something, whatever that you have been doing, that's what I am right now. So, but that is there's a big gap, and there's a lot of change that been occurred. So you're not right now. You're not a morning person. If you accept that you are the one who isn't that morning person, then there will be no time change.
지금 알아서 기회가 좀 답답한 소속을 몇인 줄 알아서 친구 당나서 너무 통통도 와. 뭐도 도보자미 제진이 되는 친구 말하고 총준만 말아. 이날 그 들려대 매발 잘 말아. 그 도는 주어라기 전에 단다 친구 찾아. 대벌을 저거 저거 말아. 뭐도 도지는 이제 깨지긴 주어를 받아. 깨지긴 주어를 그래서 단다 통주가 도 주어를 통으로 와. 대가는 대나지를 뇌대 아명한테 제반이지. 다들 주어로 나시기 뇌들을 땜비 센터 롱차선 대나지게 깨지긴 주어를 받아. 제가 다음에 말에 제비를 뇌대 주어치 말에만 또 주대 단다 있는 거 대도 돼. 대나지게 센데 대나지게 또 주어를 되고 주대 또 진대.
So just as look at our physical body at this time. We know that how much change has occurred in our body, our condition of our body, the strength of our body has declined as we go. But this declination doesn't occur at one point. It doesn't occur overnight. It continues at the moment that you are taken a rebirth, given birth by your mother, you started changing your body. We cannot see the momentary change. But only when that becomes a vivid to us, and then you say, oh, this person is getting old now. It doesn't mean that person, that his old age or his appearance of becoming old become overnight. It's a moment by moment, second by second, and nanosecond by nanosecond. We just keep changing, but we are not aware of that. Just think about another, example to think about. The leaf that we see is so green, and then after a couple of days, we see this leaf change their color. That doesn't mean that the change of color occurred in 1 minute. It'll keep changing, but we don't know the momentary change. It's similarly, our body is changing moment by moment. Our mind is changing moment by moment, but it continues again. It continues.
아데나니 유쇼근 되다 남빈 되는 또 제주도 다 딘중세야 돼. 근데 제가 정말에 다 딘중세야 돼. 다 남비쇼게 돈 많이 베셔야 돼. 지금 다 저거 사람이 봤어야 돼. 유쇼도 돈 차요래. 돈 많이 베 차요래. 왜나 장주고 세야 니 친구도 희오나 대 이제 남비기 돈 많이 베 그래서 그래. 저거 사람 다단지래. 양아 저당기 제시하는 때와다 세명 니게서는 것들은 다 니가 도모 얘기더니 저한테 봐서야 돼. 저한테 봐서야 돼. 도모를 니체 조사래. 다가 대중세야 됐다 남의 도모해 봐지. 비중을 지금 그러면
One thing that I can be very sure to talk about the difference between Christianity and Buddhism. Though I'm not familiar with the teachings of the Christianity, I know the differences, their extent, the viewpoint, their philosophical viewpoint is completely different. In Buddhism, our core belief, our philosophical view is based on dependent originations, which is exclusive stem or interdependence and dependent originations. When it comes to the conduct, we call it in Buddhism, we have a conduct and the views. The Buddhist view is something that is very exclusive, and it is uncommon it doesn't share with any other, religious tradition. But when it comes to the conduct with a non-violent way of life, and then it shares with other religion as well, such as practice of compassion, sense of caring, and appreciating others, and valuing others' opinions, and so on and so forth, and valuing others, and so on and so forth, are very similar. Again, even in this, when it comes to the non-violence way of life, the Buddhism doesn't really confine the non-violence way of life. It's just being caring and sense of connectedness with others, but it requires, it emphasizes mostly on the practice of bodhicitta and universal compassion for all beings.
나된 얘기 그 쇼는 댄스장 시바이 맞다 되면이야 유슈 장치스가 말하는 시도에 말아
But
장치스가 가래
I cannot say that Christianity has no practice of bodhicitta because I don't know much about Christianity.
당연히 도저히 갈라서 말하기는 더 막아라.
Any other questions?
I need to research a little bit. Next week, okay?
따지지 있어도.
야,
Okay? No, if I'm going to engage him, I want to not be half baked. I want to be fully baked.
Absolutely, yeah, that's good.
Okay?
Yeah.
But yes, it was good, the question was good answered. I don't know that I asked the right question for
No,
you.
I think you did. You asked a good question. And he gave an answer based on what he can answer. And it's not even that all Christians believe the same thing.
Yeah.
And so,
There's a different
that makes it more difficult. In general, in Christianity and in other religious faiths, deity-based faiths, there's a belief that people have an eternal soul, some essence which is always there.
That's right.
And will never leave them, and it's just theirs. And in Buddhism, there's nothing like that.
Right.
So that's unique to Buddhism.
Yeah.
And that's what Geshe-la was talking about. The idea of things being eternal might be shared, but why that is and how that comes about is quite different in Buddhism.
Okay.
And I was very impressed with the teaching about how compassion and perhaps bodhicitta even
Compassion.
is common.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I was very impressed with Geshe-la's explanation about how compassion and loving kindness are common among religions.
Mhm.
Possibly even the idea of bodhicitta. So, at least parts of bodhicitta. So.
No, there's a bigger,
Absolutely.
but I rarely get a chance to expose my questions. And
Every week we are given a
I'll do some
time for
research.
questions. So just
Well, here's one thing, okay? So Jesus, in Christianity, Jesus, when he was a young boy, there's a story about where he was with the wise men and they were talking high philosophy, okay? And this is in the Bible, okay? And then the next thing in the Bible, it's 30 years later. He's 30 years old. So there's this length of time where, according to the Bible, something happened. Nothing, there's no record of it, okay? So historically, the search for the historical Christ, people believe there's a large group of people, and there's records. In fact, there's a penta, there's records in Buddhism about this guy from this philosopher, Jesus. Okay, and if you actually take Jesus's book, the New Testament, and you look at the Dharmapada in the New Testament, and lot of, the book have you ever read Jesus and Buddha Parallel Sayings? There's actually, I'll bring something. And then probably was the beginning, now that I think about it, probably was the beginning of this. Because I'm trying to think how this, because of my brain. So there's a mention of it,
Okay.
of Jesus in the Pentateuch. So somewhere I asked that question up in Arizona. And he looks at me and he says, so if I say yes, all the Christians will come and try to burn us down as heretics. So, what?
I don't understand.
There's a reference to Buddha have you ever, I mean, this is a whole different, this is search for historical Christ and the connections between, it's something that's gone on for a lot of years. So it's
I don't know, it's
What?
a parallel.
Yeah, there's very much parallel,
Okay.
unbelievable parallel. Like some of the same stories are the same stories. I'll get the book and I'll show you, and then maybe you say, "Oh, crazy." Then I'm done.
No, it's not.
No. But I would like to hear a scholarly, not a Westerner or a New Ager or a hippie. I would like to hear a true Geshe say, "Oh, well, let me think about that." Okay. So I'll bring the book and we can start with that.
Can we do it sometime other than when we're doing Siksa Samuccaya?
Yeah, no. The Shantideva, the whole thing about it was Shantideva wandered India, right? He gave the guide to the Bodhisattva and he disappeared and he wandered India, right? Okay. And Shantideva was such a highly developed person, and we were talking about this earlier, that the monks go, "Oh, we shouldn't have given him a hard time," because the monks made fun of it, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
That, according to
That's
stories.
right.
Right, they made fun of it. And then they go, "Oh, our karma very bad," and they sought him as a teacher, correct? So they found him, 2.5 years later, 2 years later, something like this.
Yeah, a couple of
And he says, now I paraphrase, okay? But he says basically, well, I thought if you guys actually would understand the PowerPoint, Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, I'll give you the encyclopedia. So that's how I look at this teaching is, I've been reading this PowerPoint and it's you do, but this gives us the why we do. And that's what is so good about this teaching. Okay? Sorry, I have a lot of people that have pushed me in the past, like you be better. Okay? So no discussion. Go back to teaching class.
It's 8:00.
Sorry.
That's okay. And that was meaningful.
Well, reading. The problem is he's going to.
Let me, just tell a little bit about the discussion that we had.
Oh, if he wants.
Yes, sir. I'll just let him know.
Okay, yeah.
Mestieren 기사한테 쇼만해서 어디 힘이 쇼를 때서 산도 계시에서 하는데 미시 que como es un issue de eso. Debe ser. Tendré ponto donde pena Sanjay da que cuando que issue parodia ci teorie resource. Data con solutions. Yo to hanas na to que te yo más un 이거 그런 대기점 친구죠. 근데 지 여기를 들려나다. 또한 되게 그네나는데 근데 세우치다에
예만
이제 말로 되게 군지가 왔어. 근데 지금 그래서 아빠 예배서를 근데 거기 있던데 지금 도사 대표인데 여러 사실 지금 시기는 군용이 있는 얘기는 군 시기는 군용은 뭐 하시래. 그 유튜브에 통역 직 나온 거 통역 싫어 봐. 통백하고 공부 충족하고 되게 집중을 했어요. 저는 맞지. 나한테는 로춘중간에 양코는 집에 산다마다 집 선벌상 보지 선거 고향 보지 집 한다기 집에 규모는 맞아 없이 제 코베 산다마다 신고 여러 근데 뒷바라지 여기 있겠냐 말서 되게 그때는 야 남자분은 또 고라야 열로는 난 너무 쉽게 안 됐지 con sulsola di vari anni anche 10 anni con su verso ti parla per la terza giornata quando ya sei sempre devo trovare che sto che come no ma devo che non voglio vedere invece bene per tenere uscito con delle concept che mi do poi ci mandi detto chiamo any questions so can we have questions regarding the topic?
Sorry.
Michael's topic.
In reading this,
Absolutely.
I've had Shanti Deva guide
Yeah.
since Gokar, many years. Gokar and especially Chungla, Shanti Deva, you know. And so now we get to read this, and of course I'm reading it, and it's prompting like how universal, because there's 3,000 recognized religions in the world, something like that, you know, and all of them kind of try to make better people, right? So anyway, sorry, so you know. Anyway, this is a great book. I look forward to getting into it and beyond the introduction because I'm really confused reading it by myself. Not confused, it's really good. It's really good, but it's quite, it's not a conversation, I'm having too much of a conversation by myself in reading. I'm not that good of a scholar. You tell them that, I'm not that good of a scholar. Here.
I don't have a question tonight, but I do look forward to hearing Geshe-la teach about how to train in shamatha and calm abiding and how to attain that for attaining deeper realization. So I'm greatly looking forward to Geshe-la teaching that. So please pass that to him.
Okay. Quran, the Shine, there was a use. Shine, so that kita tiaci, in my caps on the there was a use that is on the solution verse and I say.
남배문에 따다 지르가를 따셔거든요. 배나 외쇼이로와 배나 외쇼 따보게 따가는 주로 소스 그때만 못 보여요. 그래서 야 남배문에 지 밖에 따다지 가르쳐 줘거나 그래서 야 남배 dembi 마히치도 되게 그가 따나 모르마요 말에 저도 좀인데 좀인데 세제 담지 산직사를 배우고 요송상 근데 콩 어떻게 도시 좀 요송상 세제 소소 그 칸을 매발 빠네 근데 나라 저거 남바지는 배우거를 나라 근데 개놈은 남바지는 배우거를 다나라 집에 지금 아메리카 대제들 대제 리아지 도다 제 친구 주부투에게 배우여받은 용달에 저들에게 남편이 따다지잖아 제 유주로 수업에 주로 가거든요 개침부터 돼요 저 때문에 좀 된대게 그가 단행으로 매매를 해
So again here in Buddhism, we can't reject that Jesus being the elimination of Buddha himself. We can't reject that. We have to accept 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 that. we can't say that he is not an emanation of Buddha. Or because if you look at the teachings of the Buddha himself, the Buddha has manifested in many different forms in accordance with what is needed for in a particular circumstances and a particular individual, just to benefit that person. If someone who will, with the Buddha being enlightened, and he will really understand that what kind of teachings and practice are suitable for the individual. Therefore, based on that individual's inclination, what kind of practice that is inclined towards, then he manifests in a different form and teach that person to something that can be understandable for that individual. It's not that, well, I'm an enlightened being and I would like to teach you so profound and very vast. This is not the style of Buddhist teaching. This is not a Buddha's facial. It's not Buddha's style. So therefore, Buddha has taken a rebirth in many different forms. He has taken a rebirth as a king, but not as manifested as a king, minister, merchant, sometimes an ordinary being, even manifested in the form of animal. Sometimes even water, bridge, and so forth.
Really?
Yes. And even Maharaj, sometimes if you look at the sort of, it's a translation footnote, okay, translator's footnote. Keep listening. I saw this in some sutras, even in the Protestant,
Oh,
yeah, in the form. So it's in the sutra itself.
근데 산지 좀 된데 저도 나지 작업하고 배는 중간에 봐서 거래. 얘네 대나네 부다서도 부담을 시작하고 제가 좀 된데 그 소문 이번에 대래서서 공감을 담으면 부다시 하는 동안이 주대시 어떻게든 나름 담으면 잘 되거든. 좀 된데 세계 소속의 디지털 카드 미발 반 도스 나도네 도스 맞대 엔 디지털 카드 좀 주대한테 선보는 다다만 뭐지 차용고요 봐 근데 내가 엔디 치에서 뭐를 불러서 답변이 되는 단도에 많이 받아 저 단도에 되는 게 되어서 다시 받아 다시 많이 받아 이거 뭐지 치네 엔도스 남고야 돼 되는 정도로 내가 배는 유타가 전투가 유타가 저에는 다 뭐보지 배워요 봐. 그 남다른 남주셔나 전바다 모두 배치고 여기네. 그럼 이제 뭐보지 배우여서 대대를 배양이 쳐도 다른 데를 때는 배도치고 해서 내릴 때는 지 상담에 있는 것을 출력하다 가이네. 그 실험 게다에 비해서 이제 도안도 되게 좀 있어요.
So even look at the Buddha Shakyamuni, who came to this world in the form of supreme emanation body, where he has given numerous teachings, but his teachings are not the same at all, especially when it comes to the wisdom aspect. He has given the teachings, particularly the 4 classes of teachings given in the teachings of 4 different schools of thoughts,
right.
or 4 different tenets, starting from the Buddhist religious, 2 Buddhist religious schools, and then 2 higher Buddhist schools of thoughts. And those are not something that he know all of those, and then he has given the teachings. All this different style of teachings are given because of the mental capacity, the inclination of the followers. And not only that, but he also about the teachings both teachings of the Sutra and Tantra. Even in the Tantra, there are many different levels. The 4 classes of Tantras, beginning from action to all the way to the heights of a Tantra, are given on the basis of the individual who are receiving these teachings, their inclination and their mental dispositions. It's not that Buddha saying, I'm an expert teacher, I'm an enlightened being, I know everything and I just give you teaching whatever I know. This is not what he did. He gave the teachings based on the mental capacity or the inclination of the individual at that time. So therefore we find different teachings, different philosophy, different teachings given by the teaching given by the same person as a Buddha to the disciples in a different way. So therefore we cannot again say that Jesus is not a manifestation of Buddha. We cannot say that at all either. Because if you look at, of course, there are many different kinds of religion, the Christianity, whatever that that doesn't matter, but they are actually teaching how to be a good person, as we said earlier, as we talked earlier. None of those teachings are emphasizes on be a bad person, harm others. None of them are teaching that at all. They're always teaching. The only thing is the people who are following those teachings are not really good. But if you look at the teaching itself, all of them are very good. So it is therefore, historians always advise us respect all this different religious tradition. Should not denigrate because that you are following the different belief system and so on. Because one thing that you should know is that they are always teaching to a good person and coming together to become creating a better world. This is what is matter.
Tena 이거 영어서 가르쳐 버나 라닌 네바가 되시 라닌 네바가 되시야 주메인 되시야 덤바드네 메바가 되시야 어디는 되시야도 선보 저다 라닌 네바가 되시야 주메인 되시야도 선보 근데 네바들이야 메가 되게 편하지가 네바들이야 메데 야슈 저러 되나 시기 저 소소소 뭐게 되다면 왕게 추가되지 않는 생존 평균은 대체들 않는 야슈 대체를 맞다 저게 용라가 최대 야슈랬으니 어디 제도 말.
So we have a saying in Buddhist, in the teachings, the Buddha's teachings, where it says, one should, consider oneself as a sick person or the patient, or you are ill, you're suffering from some common sicknesses. And then Dharma is considered as a medicine. And then the teacher who's giving the teaching, or in other words, Buddha himself, as the physician. So now if you look at here, someone who's being physician and some who are being a patient, and the physician is prescribing the medication to the patients. And teacher would not, the skilled physician will not give the same medicine to everyone. The medicine prescription is based on what kind of medication that is required for that individual based on what kind of sickness that person is having. In the same manner, all those teachers of this world, not talking about the Buddha or the Buddhist teaching, or the teachings of the Buddhism, but we have all different kind of religious teachings. All those religious teachings should be taken as a medicine. And whatever the religious teaching that is effective for oneself, one should follow that and take this medicine will be very beneficial. So therefore, we should always respect, never ever denigrate or, talk bad about other religion. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're.
Okay, Mr. Michael.
Well, no. You see, you're. Let me. This is tying into the additional information in here. Is tying into my questions that I've had about God. So, but I don't have enough knowledge yet. Okay, I have some questions, but the entity, the entity, say like Buddha's reincarnation, okay? That entity of energy, that can't be, it's just pure energy. The purity of his thoughts, etc. So it can't be diluted or tainted.
What kind of energy are you talking about?
Sorry, let me just, I'm way into my own rabbit hole. Let me think about this, okay? Sorry, I apologize.
Answer your question.
My question pertains to the feathers, and I did my research, so I answered my own question, but I'll bring it to him to elaborate on.
The feathers?
그것은 제일 쉬워서 그것은 지난번에 그런 그런 거 다음에 저들 랜드 그런 거 하셨어. 이제 그냥 그렇지. No. So that's what I did.
We should say our dedication prayers. So thank you for a very good teaching, and a very good question. Dagi jine sabe gewa
Niye te dan lo agolo gambeno, chabara jesu lo santa mai, tebe ni bore do sajejo.
Saji Orki
Oshe me to ta le ra le je ni de jamani, sanje yido me de bwai, probe nanda yina je barajo.
Tewa Kundu
Yanda lama na dame chuje gala ro chuje, sada lam je yute ra do ne, daje chagi go ba nyu to yo.
Idam Guru
Rana mandala gani ataya me.
on page 28. Jetsu Mame Kutse
Ratenje naga jane jojo jivana, rosa zembe jume saboni, roye me se tato de juruji.
Kari Rawe
Koye jiganto pedan dewa male juene, chere gama de be jangoyi, chabe se de pato de juruji.
Champel Pawu
Cheta jevana goto zambo de yande yende, tela gunje jesu daroji, gewande da tamje ratomo, teso jebe jawa tamje, noa gala jodo mabane, tage geve zawande gunje, zambo jeje ratomo aji.
Okay, thank you. I never, the whole idea of